I just wanted to show a close-up of the little unicorns. They turned out really adorable. Here's the one that I made with the leftover yarn from the larger unicorn. So this is my magical unicorn. There's a separate video tutorial for the larger unicorn. And here is the one that I did in pink, glitter pink. And the wings on the back. She also has horseshoes, just like the larger magical unicorn. This is what they look like from behind. You can see their tail and their wings. This is the larger magical unicorn with the wings and the braided tail. For this crochet project, you're going to need your 3.75mm crochet hook, as well as a tapestry needle or darning needle, and a pair of scissors. The safety eyes that I'm using are a 12mm safety eye. These have a light blue color to them. I used my leftover yarn from my magical unicorn. So this is a soft white red heart equivalent yarn. And I'm using my leftover Patton's Beehive Baby Sport yarn. Here's some information about this yarn. Again, this is some leftover yarn that I had from my magical unicorn. This is a light 3 yarn. And the color is baby gray marl. So I did use some of my leftover glittery purple yarn for one of my small unicorn, magical unicorns. The one on video tutorial, I'm using the same style of yarn, Karen's Simply Soft Party by Yarnspirations. Here's some information about this yarn. You're going to have plenty of this yarn left over, and again, you could make a larger crochet magical unicorn, and then with the leftover I made these small ones. Here's some information about this yarn, and this color is Fuchsia Sparkle. We're going to start with the main colored yarn, and we're going to start with the magic circle. Just take the yarn, drape it on your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers, and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then take your crochet hook, go under those 2 loops around the middle fingers, go ahead and bring up a loop, then yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then go through that loop for a slip knot. Now we're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So you just go back under those loops, bring up a loop, you have 2 loops on the hook, go ahead and yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through both loops for a single crochet. And you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So this is my second, third, after you finish 6 single crochet into the magic circle, you're going to take your 4-finger and your thumb, and you're going to hold the base of the 6 single crochet. So you can see how I'm holding my crochet hook. You have these 2 loops on the opposite side. Go ahead and pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one, but this one's closing, so I'm just going to gently close it. Don't worry if you don't get the center completely closed. We can close it more later. Then just take that loose yarn end and pull on that. Then just turn your work, and we're going to start working in rounds. So now you want to take your crochet hook, go into that first stitch. You can see how I grabbed both loops of the stitch. Go ahead and bring up a loop. And now you're going to make 2 single crochet into the same stitch. And you're going to be making 2 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 12 stitches, and then come back. Now you can go ahead and close the center of the magic circle if you need to. Just turn your work over and pull on the loose yarn end. And you see how nicely it just closes up that circle for you. Now you're going to need a yarn marker. I just use one of my scraps of yarn, but if you have a yarn marker, you can place that right where you left off. Now you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch around. When you get back to the yarn marker, come back. So only one single crochet into every stitch around. Now you can see how I made it back to my yarn marker, and I still have only 12 stitches in the round. So now I want 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. So far we've completed 1 round. Now you just keep going. So you continue making one single crochet in every stitch around back to the yarn marker. So you can see how the yarn marker helps you keep track of the rounds that you complete. So you could see how we completed 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch, and you still should have a total of 12 stitches in the round. Now we're ready for the next increase round, which means that we're going to increase the number of stitches in the round. So go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off. And for this increase round, you're going to be making one single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So I'll make one more set with you. You're going to make one single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you should be back to the yarn marker, and you'll notice that now after that increase round you have 18 stitches in the round. So then you're ready for the next round. Go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up. Now this next round is not an increase round, so you're going to maintain the number of stitches. You're going to be making one single crochet in every stitch around. So when you get back to the yarn marker, you should still have a total of 18 stitches in the round. This is how your work should look so far. Now we're ready for our next increase round. So go ahead and take your yarn marker, move it up to where you left off, and for this increase round you're going to be making one single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. And then repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, one single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. So now you should have 24 stitches in the round. Then you're going to take and move your yarn marker up, and we're going to be making one single crochet in every stitch around for 2 rounds. Now these are not increase rounds, so you should have the same number of stitches, 24, every time you pass the yarn marker. So we only need 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. So when you get to the yarn marker, just continue around until you've completed 2 rounds. So here you can see what my work looks like, and I finished 2 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. You can go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and now we're going to place the eyes. So here just leave a large loop where you left off, and then turn your work so that the loop is in the back of the work. Then you're going to take and place one of your safety eyes, and you can go from the magic circle and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after the 6th row, place your safety eye, one of your safety eyes. Then count over 4 stitches and place your other safety eye. Make sure that you place it on the same row so that they're not crooked. And then once you're happy with the placement, you can place the safety latch on the back. Now once you place these safety latches, it's practically, I can never get them off, so they're very secure. So you want to make sure that you're happy with the placement before you place your safety latches. Now we want to make the nostrils, so go ahead and get some of your main color, not the main color, but the alternate color yarn that you're using. And you're going to take your tapestry needle and you're going to go in from the wrong side and come out the right side with your tapestry needle. And I came out about 11 o'clock. So if you look at the magic circle as a clock, I came out about 11 o'clock. And then you want to go about a stitch. After you pull enough yarn through, you want to leave a little bit of yarn on the inside for tying a knot. Then you're going to go about a stitch down. You're going to follow the curve of the circle and then go about, not even a stitch, it's probably about a couple millimeters, and back through from the right side back through to the wrong side. And then you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So now you're at about 1 o'clock on the clock. And again, you're going to go about a millimeter or 2 down, and you're following the curve of the circle. Oop. So you can see how I pulled this one too snug, so I'm going to pull that back up. You want to be able to see the nostrils. Then you're ready to tie a knot on the inside. This is how mine looks after I'm finished. Then you're ready to go back to where we left off. This is what it looks like on the inside. I just trimmed the loose yarn ends after tying a knot. Then you're going to place your yarn marker right where you left off. And now you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of 1 single crochet into every stitch around. So this is what my work looks like after finishing 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now you're ready for a decrease round. So for a decrease round, we're going to be decreasing the number of stitches in the round. So right now we have 24 stitches in the round. For this first decrease round, you're going to be making 1 single crochet into 3 stitches. And now we're going to make our decrease stitch, or it's also known as single crochet 2 stitches together. So you take your crochet hook, you're going to go into the next stitch over, you're going to bring up a loop, and then you're going to go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through all 3 loops for a decrease stitch. Then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then a decrease stitch, or single crochet 2 stitches together. So now, before you complete this round, this decrease round, there's an optional thing that you can do. You can make lashes for your little unicorn. So I'm going to make lashes on this one. And again, it's optional. You don't have to put the lashes if you don't want to, but I'm going to show you how I do it. So I'm coming up from the wrong side with my tapestry needle, right above the safety doll eye. And I'm going to again leave enough loose yarn end on the inside for tying a knot. And then for the first lash, I'm going up one row and a slight angle towards the left. Then I'm going to come back through at the bottom of where I first came out in the beginning, so I can make the second lash. And for the second lash, I'm going up one row and a stitch over. So there's different ways that you can make the lashes. So I'm just showing you how I'm making mine. And for some of them I make the lashes a little bit different. And then for the third lash, again, I come back in the same spot where I first started. Make sure you don't tangle your yarn, which I just did. So I guess I'll use this as a teaching moment. So you can see where I tangled up my yarn. I went right into the yarn, so I snipped it, I cut it, and now I went back to where my yarn marker was. So I have a little bit of yarn that I can use to tie a knot. So then I just take and join my two yarn pieces. You want to make sure it's strong. I just sometimes like to do just a triple knot. Then you can take, and this is our decrease round, so you just crochet your decrease round just like I showed you. So I'm just going to show you real quick. So 1, 2, 3, and then my decrease stitch, and you can see how the knot's coming up. So I just go right before the knot, bring up a loop, drop the loose yarn ends so that I'm crocheting with the skein of yarn, and then I just go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, and make my decrease stitch. And you can actually pull on those loose yarn ends to bring the knot towards the inside so you don't see it at all as you crochet. So now I'm right back where I started, and again, just be real careful that you don't make your eyelashes over your yarn that you're crocheting with. So now back to where we started. You can see how I came back out the same place I started. I'm going to go up a row and then a stitch over for the third eyelash. And then you have your beautiful eyelash, but you want to make sure that you make the eyelash exactly the same as you made the other eyelash so it doesn't look crooked at all. So I'm going to go ahead and make my other lash now, but first I'm going to tie a knot and cut the loose yarn ends and then start with a new yarn on the other side. This is how mine looks after putting both of the lashes in place. Now I'm back to the yarn marker and I have one stitch left. I'm going to go ahead and make a decrease stitch for my last stitch, even though I passed the yarn marker a little bit. So you can see how it's decreased the number of stitches in the round. Now you can go ahead and stuff the head with some craft stuffing, and I use an inexpensive Walmart pillow for mine. So you can, whatever inexpensive craft stuffing that you can find to use in the head. Make sure you don't overstuff it, and make sure that you shape the head so that it still has the snout. Then you can continue to stuff it as you close. So we're going to continue decreasing the stitch count in the round. So for the next decrease round, You're going to take and move your yarn marker up where you left off. And for this decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, first 2 stitches. So 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then you're going to make your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. And then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together for a decrease stitch. And this is how mine looks so far, and I just put a little bit more stuffing, craft stuffing inside. Then take and move your yarn marker up, and for this decrease round now you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then make your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. And you can see how I'm holding my fingers to help stabilize the work. So 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then your decrease stitch. So now you can see how you're almost closed. Go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and now we're just going to slip stitch it closed. So just take your crochet hook and you're going to skip a stitch and then go into the next stitch, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through both loops for a slip stitch. Skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. And you're going to continue slip stitching until the head is completely closed. Then you can go ahead and finish off. So just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And this is what it looks like from the back, the side, the front. Now you want to take your tapestry needle, put it onto the loose yarn end, and then you're going to take your tapestry needle and go right in, right where you finished off, and come out anywhere on the head. You see how it buries your loose yarn end nicely. Then go ahead and trim the loose yarn end. Now for the ears. So you're going to take your yarn and we're going to start with the magic circle again. And then you're going to take your crochet hook, you're going to bring up a loop for your slip knot, and now you're going to place 3 single crochet into the magic circle. So you want to make sure that your loop is not too tight. You don't want the stitches to be too tight. Go ahead and go under those loops, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through both loops for a single crochet. And then again, you don't want the loop too tight because we're only going to place 3 single crochet into the magic circle. We want to make small ears. So I'm kind of making a little bit of a gap between the hook and the loop to kind of give me room for my stitches. So I have 3 single crochets into the magic circle. I'm going to close it the same way. And then I'm going to turn my work so that I can work into that first stitch. So here, the first stitch is actually right here. Let me bring it in for you. So you can see that here's the first stitch, the second, and then the third stitch is right here. So you want to go into that first stitch and then bring up a loop. and then make your single crochet. So this is the only tricky part because this is such a small ear. Then you're going to go into the next stitch. Make sure you grab both loops. Bring up a loop to make your single crochet. And then you're going into the last stitch. And again, you want to make sure you grab both loops and then bring up a loop to complete your single crochet. Then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Do you see how I'm grabbing both loops? Just yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the ear onto the little unicorn. So you can just kind of pull right where you finished off. And then you can take and decide which direction that you want the ear to be sewn on. So which portion to be towards the top and which towards the bottom. So this is where we finished off, and I like how it's kind of pointy there. So I'm going to take my tapestry needle and I'm going to go right down the center and out the bottom of the ear. That way I have both of the loose yarn ends towards the bottom. And you see how you formed a little cute ear? So you need 2 of these for your unicorn. After you have both of your ears, you're ready to sew them onto your unicorn. So now just take your tapestry needle and put it onto one of the longer ends for sewing your ear on. And you can see that I'm going back 3 rows from the eyes. So 1, 2, 3. And then go ahead and make a stitch with your tapestry needle. And I lined up the ear with the inner portion of the eye as well. So you want to move the ear so that the inner portion of the ear is lined up with the eye. And then just take and go up into the ear. And grab a stitch. And then pull it in place. And then sew it down. So make sure you have it lined up how you want it. So the inner eye lined up with the inner portion of the ear, and then 3 rows back. Then once you have the ear sewn on the way you like it, then you can take and tie a knot in the back. Then just take your tapestry needle, put it onto the loose yarn end, and then go right in where you tied your knot and come out anywhere. And then that just buries your loose yarn end. Then when you sew the other ear on, make sure that it's lined up exactly in line with the other ear. This is how my ears look after I sewed them on. And now we're ready to make the horn. So now for my horn, I used my gray colored yarn. And we're going to start with magic circle again. And for this one, you're going to make your slip knot again, just like you've done before. So you make the slip knot. Then we're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So again, you're going to place 6 single crochet. And then after you finish the 6 single crochet, you're going to grab the base and then go ahead and close the magic circle. And then turn your work. You're going to go into that first stitch and make a single crochet. making sure I get into that both loops. So just one single crochet. Then you can take and close the back or the center of the magic circle. Then to help you keep track of your rounds, go ahead and place your yarn marker at this point, right where you made that last stitch. Then you're just going to make one single crochet in every stitch around until you've completed 4 rounds. So 4 rounds of just one single crochet in every stitch around. And then as soon as you're able to, you'll turn your work so that the loose yarn end is on the inside portion. So you kind of just fold it down as you crochet so that the loose yarn end is on the inside or the wrong side of the horn. So go ahead, continue making one single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 4 rounds. And then you can remove the yarn marker if you need to. The yarn marker is there just to help you keep track of the rounds. But again, your horn can be as short or as long as you want your horn to be for your unicorn. For mine, I made it 4 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. So you can see how it's starting to form the horn, and I've turned it inside out. So this is what mine looks like after finishing 4 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch around. So I have the loose yarn end in the center of the horn. Since it's too hard to kind of tuck it into the small horn, I'm going to go ahead and just trim it. So make sure you don't cut your main yarn and just cut the loose yarn end only. Then you can go ahead and remove the yarn marker. Now you're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So go ahead and grab the next stitch, both loops of the next stitch, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the horn onto the unicorn. Now for the horn, you want to make sure that you have it centered between the ears and also just right in front of the ears. So it's going right in the center and right in front of the ears. And then once you have it, you know where you want to position it, you can take and sew it in place. So make sure that it's centered where you need it so that it's not crooked. And then once you're sure of where you want it, you go ahead and make your stitch with the tapestry needle and sew it around the base of the horn. Now for mine, I like to tie the knot in the back of the horn. And then I bury the loose yarn end into the horn itself. But I like to go a couple of times to make sure I have a good knot. And then once I have a good knot, I go right in where I tied the knot and up through the horn to bury the loose yarn end. Now you're ready to set the head aside. We're going to make the body now. Now you're going to go back to the main color yarn and you're going to make a magic circle. We're going to make our slip knot and then place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So we've done this before, so I'm just going to go fairly quickly. So again, 6 single crochet, and then you're going to hold the base of the 6 single crochet and then close up the magic circle. And again, you're going to turn your work, and we want 2 single crochet into each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. So 2 single crochet into each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. Then you can close the center of the magic circle if you need to by pulling on that loose yarn end on the back. Go ahead and take your yarn marker, place it right where you left off, and we're going to make 1 increase round. So you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Keep repeating that all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you're going to go ahead and take and move the yarn marker up, and now you're not going to be making increase rounds. So now you're just going to be making 1 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 6 rounds. So if you maintained 18 stitches in the round for each of those rounds, this is how your work should look. Forms a little cup for the body. Now we're going to make 1 decrease round, so go ahead and take and move your yarn marker up, and you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together to form a decrease stitch. And you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then a decrease stitch, or single crochet 2 stitches together. So you can see how you decrease the stitch count to 12. Go ahead and remove the yarn marker now, and you're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the head onto the body. But before we sew the head on the body, we're going to be making the legs. So you want to make the legs first before we sew the head in place. So go ahead and set the body next to the head, and we'll get back to the body. Now for the feet, you're going to start with the gray colored yarn, and we're going to start with the magic circle again. And we're going to be making a slip knot first, and then 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So we've done this before, so I'm just going to quickly go through. So 6 single crochet into the magic circle, and then you're going to hold the base and close up the center of the circle. Then go ahead and turn your work, and you're going to go into that first stitch in the round, and you're going to place 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches, and then come back. So now, after you have 12 stitches in the round, we're going to make 1 increase round. So for this increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Then you should have 18 total stitches in the round. Go ahead and move the yarn marker up and make 1 single crochet into every stitch around. So 1 single crochet into every stitch around back to the yarn marker. Now once you get back to the yarn marker, go ahead and remove it, and we're going to set this down because we want to make the horseshoe. So go ahead and set this down for a minute, and then grab your alternate colored yarn so that we can make the horseshoe. So with your alternate colored yarn, you're going to take and form a loop. Just fold it over to form a loop. Then you're going to take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down, and then loosely put the loop around your crochet hook. Now we're going to make a chain. Go ahead and make a chain of 10. So yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and continue making the chain with you. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the horseshoe onto the leg or the hoof. Now you're going to want to take the shorter end, the loose yarn end, first, and put that onto your tapestry needle. And then you're going to take and just place right just inside that last stitch that we made, or round. See how you see the stitches in the round? Line up the chain with that last round that we did. And then take your tapestry needle and then go through to the wrong side. So you have the loose yarn end hanging out of the wrong side. Then you're going to take and form the horseshoe around the hoof. Then you're going to make sure you leave a gap between the two ends so that it looks like a horseshoe. Then you're going to take the other end that you left for sewing, and you're going to sew it in place. So you just go in and out, sewing the horseshoe in place. Make sure you don't get tangled with the yarn like I did before. You want to avoid that as much as possible. So go ahead, finish sewing your horseshoe in place, and then come back. After you sew the horseshoe in place, you want to go back to where you left off, place your loose yarn end. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around for 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of just 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So this is what my foot looks like so far. You can see how I made 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Now you want to continue crocheting until you're in the back of the foot or hoof. So keep making 1 single crochet past the yarn marker until you're in the back of the hoof. And then once you're in the back, you can go ahead and bring up another loop. So I have 2 loops on my hook, and I'm bringing in the main color yarn, and you're going to hook that yarn, bring up a loop. You can go ahead and chain 1 to secure it in place. Then you're going to take and cut the previous colored yarn. You want to tie a knot. Then we're going to make a decrease round. So you're going to go ahead and take your yarn marker, move it up to where you left off, and then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then make your decrease stitch or single crochet 2 stitches together. And then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around, 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Then you can see how my foot or hoof is looking so far. I just tucked the loose yarn ends into the center. Then you're going to take and move the yarn marker up, and you're only going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 3 rounds. So you want 3 rounds of 1 single crochet into every stitch around. So after you finish the 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, and I have a stitch count of 12, you can go ahead and put craft stuffing into the hoof. Then go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and we're going to make a decrease round. So for this decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then just repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, 1 single crochet in 1 stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. Then this is what it looks like so far. Go ahead and move your yarn marker up, or actually you can just leave it there. We're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. This is our last round of just 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Then you can go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and then just make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and bring enough yarn through to sew the hoof or leg onto the body. So we need 4 of these. Go ahead and make a total of 4 just like this. So now after you finish your 4 legs, go ahead and take 2 of them. Make sure that they're stuffed with the amount of stuffing that you want. Then you're going to take your body and make sure that it's stuffed, and the long end that you left for sewing will be towards the back. And you're going to take your legs, make sure that you position them so that the horseshoe is facing up, and then push it down and line up the one leg on the right portion. And then you're going to take your other leg. I'm just going to show you before I sew it on. Again, you want to make sure the horseshoe is facing in the right direction, and then it's going to go right next to the other foot on the body. So you want to line up the legs where you want them positioned on the front of the body. And again, make sure your horseshoe is facing in the right direction. Then you can take your tapestry needle and put the long end that you left for sewing, or the same colored yarn. Make sure that you're lined up where you want to be. I'm just going to double check mine again. So I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit. And then once you're happy with where the feet are going to go, then you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you're going to sew. You're going to go from the body, inside of the body, and out both portions of the upper portion of the leg. And you're going to sew it in place. So you want to make sure you grab both the front and the back portion of the leg so that you don't have a gap open in the back. And then just sew it to the body. Now after you finished sewing the front legs to the body, this is what mine looks like, then you're ready to place the head onto the body and line up the back of the head so that it's in line with the body. Then you're going to take your tapestry needle and you're going to go through the body, up through the bottom portion of the head, and then you're going to go back in through the head and down through the top portion of the body and just go all around the head until it's sewn in place. Make sure that the head is facing straight and that you don't have it crooked. You want to make sure that it's facing straight as you sew it in place. Don't worry if you skip a few stitches on the first round as you're sewing the head in place, because you're going to make several rounds. You're going to go around several times making sure that the head is sewn on securely. Then once you're happy with how secure the head is on the body, I usually tie a knot on the back. So I usually go a couple of times to make sure that I have a nice knot. Then you can just go right through where you tied a knot and come out anywhere on the body, and then just take and trim the loose yarn end. So now you can set the unicorn aside for now. I'm going to show you how to make the wings. Okay, so now you're going to get the alternate colored yarn. And we're going to again start with the magic circle, but we're going to do something a little bit different. You're still going to hold it the same way, and you're still going to bring up your loop for a slip knot. So go ahead and yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for your slip knot. But now you're going to go under the loops, bring up a loop, and make your single crochet. But this time you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. So that's going to count as your first double crochet into the magic circle. We're going to make 13 more for a total of 14 double crochet in the magic circle. So this first chain will count as your first double crochet. Now you're going to yarn over, go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, make your double crochet. So I made my second double crochet. So go ahead and yarn over, go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, bring the yarn through 2 of the loops. You have 2 loops remaining. Yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and then bring the yarn through the remaining 2 loops for a double crochet. So far I have 3. I'm going to make 2 more with you, and then I'm going to let you finish making a total of 14 double crochet into the magic circle. So go ahead, finish making your 14 double crochet into the magic circle, and then come back. So now you can see that I have 14 double crochet in the magic circle. So just like you did with the 6 single crochet, you're going to grab the base of the 14 double crochet. You still have those 2 loops on the opposite side. You're going to pull on one of them. Again, if it doesn't close, you just let go and pull on the other one. This one is closing, so just gently close it. Then take that loose yarn end and pull on that, and then turn your work so that you're going to form a circle. And then you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to go into the top stitch of that first chain or first double crochet that you made into the magic circle. So you can see I went into that top stitch. Then I'm going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. So I just slip stitched it into a circle, and you can see I have an opening here in the center of the magic circle, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over and pull on the loose yarn end, and you see how it closes it up. Then you're going to go ahead and make a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to show you how to make a shell. So this first chain 3 counts as your first double crochet of the shell. Now you're going to make a double crochet into the same stitch. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, make a double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 and then make 2 more double crochet into the same stitch. And you just completed your first shell. Then you're going to skip the next stitch and make 2 double crochet into the second stitch. So skip that first stitch, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, make 2 double crochet into the same stitch. Chain 1, 2 double crochet into the same stitch, and you just finished your second shell. So you're going to make 1 more shell, so skip the next stitch and make 1 more shell, 2 double crochet. I'm just going to go ahead and finish it with you. Then you're going to chain 1 and make 2 more double crochet into the same stitch. So you can see how you have 3 shells with a skipped stitch in between each one. Then go ahead and finish off, just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew this wing onto your unicorn. And you're going to need 2 of these. So now you're going to take your other 2 legs, make sure that the horseshoe is facing the right direction, so the U, it's an upside down U, and then you're going to take the body and you're going to lay the legs on both sides of the magic circle. So here is the center of the magic circle. You're going to line up the leg on one side. Make sure that you have the horseshoe facing the direction that you want, or in the right direction. And then you're going to lay the leg down on the bottom of the body and then just sew it in place. So you can always reposition the leg on the opposite side of the magic circle, and then just finish sewing it in place. And then you're going to take and line up the other leg, making sure that you have the horseshoe facing the right direction, and then sew it on the other side. This is what mine looks like after sewing on the legs. Now we're ready to sew the wings on. The first thing you want to do is bury the loose yarn end from the magic circle. So you just take your tapestry needle and just weave that loose yarn end into the center of the wrong side of the wing. And then go ahead and trim that. Then you're going to take and the long end that you left for sewing, you're going to bring it down to this portion of the wing. So just kind of weave it through. And we're going to be sewing along the edge here on the wing, so you just want to bring it to the starting point. So here's my starting point. So on the unicorn, I have the unicorn facing down so that the back side of the body is facing up towards me. And I'm going to take my wing, make sure you know which side is your right side and which side is your wrong side. The wrong side is going to be on top of the back. And then you're going to line up where you want the wing. I'm going to place my wing along the midline of the back. So right here along the side of the back, I'm going to line up my wing. And then I'm going to take and sew just the bottom portion of the wing in place. So I'm just going to go in and out and just sew this bottom portion of the wing. Make sure you don't grab the head. Then you can see how the wing will stand up, and you have the right side showing on the side of the unicorn. Then what you're going to do is just tie a knot. And then on the wrong side, you're going to take and weave the loose yarn end and bury it on the wrong side of the wing. And then once it's buried, go ahead and trim it, and then you're going to sew the other wing on the same way. The other thing I wanted to point out is to try and make sure that your wings line up. So here you can see how they go together. And this is how I placed my wings as I sewed it in place. Now we're ready to place the mane and the tail. So what you're going to do is get a lot of your alternate colored yarn onto your tapestry needle, and you're going to start right between the ears and behind the horn, and you're just going to take and loop the yarn. For mine, I kept it the length a little bit longer. I would say probably about 6 to 7 inches in length is how long mine, and you can always trim it later if you want to, or make it as short or as long as you want, but that's about what mine is. And then you're going to make loops across the top. And you want the loops to be all the same size. So whatever length that you want, make sure that your loops are the same size. And then you're just going to take and loop the yarn all the way across. Then, after you make the loops all the way across, you're going to go back, find your loops. You're going to cut the end of the loop, and then you're just going to tie a knot. Don't pull it too tight when you're tying your knot, because you'll pull the loops, and you don't want to do that. And then just tie a knot with any loose yarn end. So you just find a loop, cut the loop, and then tie a knot. And the reason why I only do one row at a time is you don't want to leave any of the loops untied, and you don't want to start confusing which ones you've tied and which ones you haven't. So I just go one row at a time. Once I finish a row, I just tie the knots on the loops. And then the last one. And then once I finish a row, I just take the hair and flop it towards the front. And then I start on the next row. And then I go all the way down to the base of the neck. Then you can see how I'm starting a new row. And I'm going to do that. I leave about a gap, a row gap between. But you can always go back and add more hair if you want to. And then I still make the loops all the same size. And you can always trim it later if you need to. You can even take a small portion of the hair and braid it, and then place a ribbon, your favorite ribbon. This one has a little bit of a glossy satin look to it. It's a 3/8" ribbon. And then the tail is made the same way. I made 2 rows for my tail. Now you can either leave the tail as it is, or you can take and braid it. So for mine, I'm going to braid this one. And this is what her tail looks like after I've braided it. And then I'm just going to put her mane back down. And then if you want to make her a keychain, into a keychain, you just make a loop right behind her horn, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So you want to take your crochet hook and put it under a stitch right behind the horn, and then you're going to bring up a loop with your alternate colored yarn. Then you're going to chain 1, and then go ahead and tie a knot. Then you're going to make a chain. I'm going to make a chain of 8. You can make your loop as large as you want or as small as you want. Mine is going to be a chain of 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then once you have your chain, you're going to go back into the stitch on the head. You can go right next to it. So you can see I'm going right back into the same stitch over, and then I'm going to yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. Then you're going to go ahead and finish off. So just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to blend in with the hair on the unicorn. And then you can kind of cinch the knot down, and then you have a little loop for hanging either as an ornament or a keychain.